Hey everyone, Ingrid here from wellness2go.ca, and today I want to talk about getting started the right way in our relationships. So how do we do that? How do we get started the right way? I'm going to share my thoughts on that. But before I go any further, like, subscribe, press the bell button so you can have the notifications to know when I've uploaded new videos, and don't keep me a secret. If this information continues to be helpful for you, if you're enjoying watching, then share with others. Let them know all about healing relationships, helping relationships, getting their relationships back on track. That's what I'm all about when it comes to how do we create healthy, loving, meaningful relationships in our lives. Okay, so getting started the right way. A couple of things I wrote down. I said, just let's say 4 things. So what 4 things are really important in terms of getting started the right way? I think celebrating your actions taken. So the actions that you actually take, not just the decisions, but the actions that you actually take. Secondly, feeling confident with your approach. Regardless if you are 100% sure, or if you are 50%, or if you're 30%, once you make that decision and you take that action, feel very confident with the approach that you're taking. Why? Because when you're aligned with that type of confidence, even if it doesn't work out to your benefit, like the way how you had hoped, it helps you to start to understand the learning curve, how this particular relationship works, right? What's best for this particular relationship, what's not. We maintain who we are, but we're also evolving and growing with the people that we interact with. And once we have decided to be in a couple and we've teamed up with someone, how we interact with them also changes and affects how we evolve as an individual, right? So when we stay really confident with our approach, it helps us to tweak the things that are working. It helps us to maybe revamp the whole approach, but at least it's progressive. We want to be progressive, right? So another way that we can get started in the right way with our relationships is to feel very comfortable with the choices that we're making and owning up to the consequences, I should say. So feeling comfortable meaning, this is a particular way that I like to do something. I'm going to feel very comfortable. I don't have to be inflexible. I just want to feel comfortable so that the person can relate to what makes me happy, or what makes me, or even they're learning who I am. So when I feel comfortable with the steps that I'm taking, it helps them to learn more about me, and it helps them to also trust that I'm being transparent, right? I'm being who I am. This is how it is, not a dictatorship. It's just that I'm feeling comfortable to share that I enjoy listening to calypso music when I'm taking a shower. That's how I like to start the morning. Or I enjoy, after my meditation, I like to do a really, really good workout. Or I enjoy watching Netflix movies or something. You want to put a list. What are the list of things that you enjoy? So you want to feel very comfortable with the choices that you're making as you're presenting yourself with this new partner or potential relationship. And speaking even to couples who are in relationships, check in to see if, are you comfortable with the choices that you make, or are you filtering? Are you almost feeling sometimes you're on eggshells? And if that's the case, you need to step back and just address, why am I feeling uncomfortable? Why do I feel like I have to walk on eggshells? And have a discussion with your partner so that you can, remove that. You want to create the transparency, but also so that you can remove that feeling of tension, because that little bit of tension that sits there is affecting the relationship negatively. You're not presenting yourself in a transparent way in your relationship. If you're making choices and in the background you're feeling nervous and agitated, and they're not telling you that you should feel like that, you're just possibly fearful that it's going to blow up, and it's going to, it's not going to be a good outcome for possible conflict between yourself and your partner. But it is important that you should feel very comfortable with your choices and then owning up to the consequences. And then the fourth one is being prepared to make detours if they are necessary. So when I think of this, I think of, we get together, once we've made that choice, we want to be in this partnership, we want to be in the relationship, and the destination is clear for each of us. Now, if you are a driver in a car, if you're the driver, you are going to decide that in order to get to your particular destination, you're going to decide if you're going to use the highway, you're going to decide if you're going to use the streets, let's say the main streets, or if you're going to do some of the back roads, right? So we get in our car, we start the journey, we've made the decision, that's where we're going to end up. We're going to the lake, we're going to spend some time at, we're going to go and have this picnic, or as an example, right? But we get on the highway, the GPS says there's lots of traffic, and because of a lot of traffic, we stop and make a little bit of an adjustment. Sometimes the GPS does that for us now, where we can leave the highway, it takes us on the back street, or it takes us through some main roads, and making that detour gives you new perspectives. It's like sometimes I find myself discovering new parts of the city because of going on the different detours. So when it comes to the relationship, when you're having certain things feeling like there's a detour, so I want to say, like, be prepared to make detours if they're necessary, right? How do you figure that out? How do you determine that? Well, making a detour with the relationship it's important because you have to practice flexibility. And there's certain things that might come up in terms of timeline, the delay with the timeline. Maybe at one point you were both living in the same city, and then someone gets a job and they have to move to another city. You make that decision now that you're going to do the long distance, and with that intention that it's a particular time. Maybe we'll do long distance for up to 2 years, right? 6 months. The person is deciding if this job is the right move for them, and then you have to figure out if it's in your best interest to move there, vice versa, right? It could be the other way around. You get the job, they're going to try to figure out how do we continue our lives together. And so this is where it's a little bit more challenging, the different detours, because maybe that timeline is, in theory, it sounds great. And then when you start to live it, it's a little too long. I didn't sign up for a long distance relationship. Or maybe there's some more serious detours where if you're within that stage of being able to become pregnant, you become pregnant, or so now both of you have to make a decision about, do we start a family right now? That's a detour, because your plans were that in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to start to think about family. So that presents a detour if you decide to go ahead and start the family right now, right then and there, right? The other thing with the detours, it's that maybe there might be unexpected family conflicts that come up, or cultural differences that come up. The detours are, they're not just about a personality difference or a minor change in the road. Sometimes the detours, and if it's that simple, but great, the navigating is easier, much easier, fewer conversations, hopefully fewer conflicts, and you get back on track, and you're heading down, and you're continuing on in that direction to the destination where you started, and where you both have decided how it's going to work out. But I also share that, and I think that it's very important to be very flexible with our plans. Be clear about what we want. Don't change that. Don't change the feeling that we want to have. But be prepared for the fact that the plans change in terms of how we get there. I was trying to figure out, well, how should I say this? All right. So we're looking, the flexibility is in how we get there, not in the outcome per se. Maybe sometimes we tweak that outcome because we realize there's something better. If there's something better, always, I would always replace my perceived outcome or the desired outcome with a better outcome. I think we should all be open to that. Be open to the fact that you want something better always, right? But part of the being started or getting started in the right way is to be very comfortable with the fact that those detours come up and they challenge us. It can be sometimes addiction related, and there's some detours that you absolutely start to realize we are never going to get to the same direction, because it affects your core values, it affects your how much you are being challenged to remain true to who you are. So if that starts to feel like you are having to change how you are and who you are, and that's one of the reasons to say, okay, no, that's we need to walk away from that, right? So it's really, really, really important in terms of how we get started, and really taking a look at these 4 different areas and just really checking in. We want to celebrate those actions, feel confident with your approach, get comfortable with your choices, owning up to those consequences, and being very prepared for those detours. And in that sense, I think those are really good things to reflect on in terms of how to get started, and just to see I would say, see within yourself and just check in. If you're in the process right now where your relationship is new and you are just getting started, or it's been a few weeks, or it's been a few months, right? Check in just to see how this is making sense, how this is aligning with you, because you can tweak this at any moment within the getting started process, right? There's an organizing principle that I talk about in my book, and it's the fact that with this organizing principle, it does help to keep our situation or life, if we allow it, it helps to maintain order in the midst of the chaos. So if the relationship is feeling chaotic, then you just take a step back and really connect with that organizing principle, because it's you're able to check in. Where do you find it? I should be a little bit more clear here. So with the book, I share the organizing principle. And the organizing principle helps, or how you find it, it's within the true self, checking in, the intuition. So all of those aspects of who you are it's still really important to know that plays a big role. You have to check in with your true self, with intuition. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How are things coming along? And are they continuing to align with that outcome? Right? So just wanting to share that. Again, like, subscribe, press that bell button, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.